massive crowds. And it's literally a festival. So many people congregating outside, inside, everywhere. I think I'm finally beginning to understand why they called it a startup festival, because that's the sense I get when I walk around this place. But thank you so much for this opportunity. And if there's one term that all of us have been hearing in the last year, it's ONDC, 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 how it's going to give Flipkart a run for its money, Amazon a run for its money, how this is India's biggest moment when it comes to e-commerce. And the man heading it is sitting right here, T. Koshy. Some of the network participants are there as well, Dilip as well as Thomson. So we're going to talk to them to understand if this can really be a game changer, just like how UPI disrupted payments. Before that, how many of you use UPI in the room? Can we have a show of hands? That's not much. How many of you have tried ONDC? Okay, that's actually more than UPI. Okay, but Koshy has more work to do here. So, Koshy, I'm going to ask you to give us some opening remarks on ONDC. Why is it so much in the news? What's so exciting about it? Is it another e-commerce platform? Is it a network that brings together many platforms together? If you can give us your perspective.
Thank you. Being a startup conference, let me just say, ours is a startup, just about a year plus. And it's a globally first, never in the world has ever been attempted. That's why people are still trying to figure out whether it is a platform, whether it is a network, is it a super app, platform of platform, none of it. It is a network which connects multiple sellers and selling platforms to come together using a common protocol to let different buyers to choose what they can. So there are buying platforms like the big names like Paytm and PhonePe and Snapdeal are there. Startups like Snap, My Stores are there. Sellers, you can see big sellers like Unilever coming on one side and McDonald's coming on the other side. We have small sellers like the Kudumbashree of Kerala or the Kanjipuram weavers, or even B2B. On my left side, you will see two network participants. Both startups from Kerala doing outstandingly well. In my vision, if they wanted to be something in e-commerce without ONDC, they could never have been. But now ONDC gives them the opportunity to be the next two unicorns, and it's going to give more opportunity to all of you here. If you think how you can build smart components for any building blocks of commerce, whether it's products, B2B, B2C, whether it is to make catalog or to help the small Kirana stores to make their catalog visible across, the opportunities are humongous. So let me just stop this as an introduction, and I will leave it to Chandra to ask all interesting questions.
Right. So to sum it up, if you're a seller in any part of India today, you have a protocol that's ready, a network ready, where you can open a storefront. And, all of you use smartphones, so try this out. Go to the Paytm app, and if you keep scrolling, they have a whole bunch of features. But towards the end, you'll see a tab called ONDC, which will take you to your neighborhood stores, Kirana stores, which have come online. Do the same thing with PIN code. It's an app launched by PhonePe. That also brings a lot of neighborhood stores. And I believe there's also a mobility network in Kerala, right? What is it called? Yatri. So Yatri, if any of you have used, that's also part of the ONDC network. Namma Yatri in Bengaluru, which is giving Ola and Uber a run for its money, also part of ONDC. So they're really trying to do something different here. In freeing up these services from platforms, making it more open. But let's also hear from the people who are on ONDC, Dilip as well as Thomson. Perhaps we can have the Sellerapp first, and then you can give us your perspective. Dilip, what has your experience been? How does a seller benefit on an ONDC network vis-a-vis an Amazon or a Flipkart that everyone knows about? So why should they really think about an ONDC?
താങ്ക്സ് ചന്ദ്ര. എല്ലാവർക്കും എൻ്റെ നമസ്കാരം. എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് ഒരു ദിവസം 9 മണി മുതൽ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു 7 മണി വരെ.
Malayalam, I won't be able to understand. Then Koshy will have to translate.
No, I'm just telling my introduction, that's all. I will come into English.
Please continue, tell them to clap for you.
Okay, ചന്ദ്ര പറയായിരുന്നു ഇന്നത്തെ സെഷൻ തുടങ്ങിയപ്പോൾ ആരും കൈയടിക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല എന്ന്. നമുക്ക് ഈ ഇവിടെ ഇരിക്കുന്ന എല്ലാവരും ഒന്ന് നല്ലൊരു കൈയടി കൊടുക്കാവോ? ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക് യു. സോ ഇതിൽ I mean, when Chandra was asking this question, how many of you are using UPI? I saw a couple of hands raising there. But when she again asked the question, how many of you are using ONDC? I see very, very less number of hands raising from the audience. See, I mean, all of us know this is the moment for India, right? We all are proud Indians, and we have seen how India has built technologies which are truly democratic in nature. UPI is the first example, right? We saw the use of Aadhaar during the COVID time. We also have Mr. Koshy sitting here, who was one of the initial founders of the COVID website. നമ്മളെല്ലാവരും കോവിഡിൻ്റെ ടൈമിൽ നമ്മൾ വാക്സിനേഷൻ കിട്ടിയപ്പോൾ ഇന്ത്യ തന്നെ ലോകത്തിനൊരു മാതൃകയായിരുന്നു കോവിഡിൻ്റെ സമയത്ത്. അപ്പം ONDC എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഇറ്റ്സ് എ വെരി വെരി ഫാർ റീച്ചിങ് പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം. നമ്മളിപ്പം ഇവിടെയുള്ള എല്ലാവരും എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് ആമസോൺ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഫ്ലിപ്കാർട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് സാധനങ്ങൾ മേടിക്കുന്ന ആൾക്കാരായിരിക്കും. പക്ഷേ ONDC എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു കോൺസെപ്റ്റിൻ്റെ ഇമാജിനേഷൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഫാർ റീച്ച്, I think that only Mr. Koshy can say. And very, very hats off to Mr. Koshy.
Round of applause for Mr. Koshy, please.
Yeah. Koshy sir, തിരുവനന്തപുരം CET-യിലെ അലൂമിനിയാണ്. College of Engineering, ട്രിവാൻഡ്രത്ത് നിന്ന് എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ് പഠിച്ച ആളാണ്. So what I am trying to tell you is, let's say any of you who are sitting out here who want to sell anything online, I think the first thing comes to your mind should be the ONDC. Because we have onboarded in the last 1 year a seller from Trivandrum, somebody like Kudumbasri, who is selling in around 21,000 pin codes across the country. We also have a seller who is based out of Srinagar, from where you can directly order some product. So that's my introduction. Over to you back.
Right, Thomson, if you can share your experiences as well, because you work on the buyer side, on the seller side. If you can give our audience a couple of examples of sellers you have onboarded and how has their experience changed. You know, when we were talking earlier, you spoke about someone who sells wheat in Jaipur, and he's now beating the likes of Ashirvad and ITC. So give us a couple of examples.
Sure. Thank you, Chandra, for the question. എല്ലാവർക്കും എൻ്റെ നമസ്കാരം. വളരെ സന്തോഷമുണ്ട് ഇവിടെ ഈ വേദിയിൽ to be able to present to you and share the panel with such exemplary people, Chandra, Koshy, Dilip. So, ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ just to give a quick 2-minute introduction to ONDC. If a baby is born in our family or in our homes, do we classify the baby as only able to cry and maybe poop? Or do we see a possibility of that being a leader, a game changer, or some inventor? The baby is going to take baby steps and start to walk and run and possibly be an athlete or be an inventor. The possibilities are immense, and ONDC is just born. The baby steps are B2C. What we are seeing in Amazon, Flipkart, what they're doing in their entirety is the baby step of ONDC. ONDC today is also able to enable the Ubers and the Olas in an unbundled manner. We have got Yatri.
Yeah.
We are seeing now when, just to again draw a parallel, when electricity came, people couldn't imagine there could be mixies or phone chargers or anything. Electricity was just born then. And what we made out of it is what it is today for us. And same way for ONDC, we are bringing out many possibilities and opportunities for different individuals who are business owners, want to be business owners, entrepreneurs, or even just participants to learn to leverage ONDC as a network on which multiple platforms are there. I hope it's not too much what I said, but just to give a kind of idea, what we have done is on the business to business side, what Dilip, what Magic Pin or Paytm, they're doing is on the business to customer side. If anybody wants to sell an item, I mean, we do not want to stop it at that. So today what we're doing is we have got many customers on ONDC we have onboarded. Many are finding it taking time to transact.
Both of you give us a couple of examples.
Yeah.
For instance, I think Spice Board of India,
Right.
I can buy from Spice Board, a seller or a retailer can also buy from Spice Board.
Right. So we have done the B2B side. We have enabled an atta manufacturer or a spice product company to onboard and make their products available for wholesale buying. Okay? And when it comes to wholesale buying, there are a lot of aspects on the network that will help you accomplish it like you were doing regularly. Like, for example, negotiations, the terms you want to do it in, and you can say that I want to sell my spices, so many cartons for this price, and I want the cash upfront, and I will want these terms, and I will not do a return. You have your own opportunity to set your terms. That is one part on the B2B side. Now, what is this enabling? Now, just to give an example, we have onboarded VKC Pride, that's a huge footwear brand. On the B2B side, we are enabling anybody in any part in the country to buy in bulk. Now, why will somebody buy in bulk? Because he knows there's a margin he can make. And when he wants to buy in bulk, he will only buy products that are sellable, that's got a brand value. And when these guys are there and they want to buy, now BKC is going to say, unless you pay me on these terms, I cannot give you. And he might not have the money. And that's where on ONDC, we have the credit side coming in. The business owner or the entrepreneur can choose to apply for credit to multiple banks, all of them on the ONDC network, and say either a personal loan or a business loan or a working capital arrangement. And in a matter of 5 minutes, he can fill up the application form. In a matter of 5 minutes, it will be checked and agreed. And in a matter of another 5 minutes, he gets the money in his bank. And this is what ONDC is enabling. It's possible and it's moving forward.
Right. Dilip, if you can give us a couple of examples.
Sure. So we mainly work with 4 category of sellers, starting with the first one is social sector and government companies. Kudumbasri is an example of a social sector entity. Kanchipuram Weavers is a social sector. We work with Spice Board of India. I think we have team from Yes Bank sitting here who facilitated that onboarding. Second one is we also work with retail shops. So some of you, if you have a retail outlet, you can onboard through us. Second one. Third one is large brands. And the final one is the D2C sellers. So VKC can be called as a D2C large brand, right? So these are the 4 segments which we have worked on. The advantage is, as a seller, I mean, see, we have been working in the e-commerce data domain from almost 7 years. The advantage what we have seen is, first thing is you own the data. As a seller, you can dictate what you really want. I mean, you can say that, okay, this is the maximum commission I can afford in this product, right? So it's a very seller-centric, buyer-centric, truly democratized platform.
Right. Koshy, ONDC by definition, open network for digital commerce. Why does India need this, according to you?
If you look at one of the challenges in digital commerce, not just in India, anywhere in the world, is the humongous concentration of 1 or 2 or 3 players.
Like
in
an
any
oligopoly or a monopoly.
Monopoly or oligopoly in any segment. Let's say consumer products. We have 2 or 3 of them have 90% market share. Look at food, 2 or 3 of them have market share. Look at mobility, 2 or 3. So what happens is not just a problem in India, it's a problem in the world. And if you look at what the Americans are trying to do is to bring regulation. They had something called America Innovation and Choice Online Act, which they were hoping to pass this year, but lots of lobbying money made sure it get postponed. The Europeans are trying what we call Digital Market Access Act, same issue, market concentration and unhealthy practices against the interest of the small business. India knew the regulatory way cannot be the best way, because even implementation of any regulation in India is a challenge. But even that takes a long time anywhere. So India decided in the last few years that we are going to make transformation by technology and markets with enabling policy. And that's why this is a globally first thing. If we do not do that, the digital commerce cannot penetrate. See what happened about the UPI, which is a payment. We had one of the lowest number of digital payments in the world among any reasonable countries. Today, India manages, in the digital transaction and payment is about 42% of the global transaction. So that kind of participation by small enterprises is possible only through a network. I'll just give one example. Let's say you have a dairy maker from Trivandrum. If she wants to make a product visible across the country, she has two options. One, set up a website and try to market. Humongously expensive. Nobody will even figure it. Or go and be a part of an existing platform. Very expensive again. Whereas today, if she, let's say, go to Sellerapp, like if she is going to do, let's say, B2C, he'll say that, make my product visible. Now, Paytm and PhonePe and Snapdeal and MyStore and all of them will compete with each other to get him market. And now worry about how do I look at logistics. I don't have a contract. If I go to a logistics company, they'll say you're too small. Then the logistics is available as a service. So now, when there is a, like for example, when I buy some product from Kudumbashree sitting in Delhi, that small entrepreneur did not know anything, because the ship rocket, which is a logistics guy, picks it up and delivers. She doesn't have to. That's also available. So that's why, if we want to have a broad-based participation of small and medium enterprises, one, we need something like this. We need to help there, like he said, financing. We need that. Third, to drive innovation and specialization. In the current digital commerce world, there is no opportunity for imagination and innovation unless you are a part of the big company. Tomorrow, you would see humongous amount of smart innovations coming. Let's take one simple example. Let's say that two smart young engineering graduate from my old school, College of Engineering, want to run a startup for an e-commerce company to help his friends in Trivandrum buy unique products from across the country. It's a humongously expensive affair. His front end, he will do it fast. But he has to go and find the sellers across the country and have a tie-up with them, logistic hub, he'll be dead, very expensive. Today, he can do that as a small startup. And he said, my ambition is all the people in Trivandrum need to be able to buy unique products from every state. Simple thing, he gives us a buyer interface, and people like Sellerapp and Rapidor and the other people from across the country are making this product visible. He just curate a page, amazing India. Suddenly it's visible. So these are the possibilities. Or even to use latest technologies like AI. For example, he may say that he can do some, find out that when I log in and when I give the details, he realizes I'm a Mallu. He can do some nice research on my buying habits with him and give me a lot of recommendation, because his interest is mine. He's not pushing anybody's product. His loyalty to me. So that's why this is so important for us to build on this and be a leader in this.
Got it. So far, what is the kind of response you have seen, Koshy? Because if I look at a Flipkart, Amazon, I think every day they do 2 million transactions. ONDC does 3 to 4 million transactions a month. Again, I don't know how much of this is coming from rides, Namayatri and Sati, and in Kolkata also you have a ride service, and the rest of it is from grocery, food and so on. So when can we expect ONDC to touch 1 to 2 million transactions a day? Hopefully people in Kerala will help, but apart from that.
Like I said, every child has to grow. First, he has to make baby steps, and then he has to. He doesn't straight away go into Harvard on the first day. But the thing is, we are getting humongous traction. I don't know whether you have seen. Let me just look at the numbers. When we started in January, we had few hundred sellers and doing 1,000 transactions in a month. When we came to September, it became 3 million transactions, and became October, it was 4.5 million transactions. I'm sure by March, I always think very short term.
You're giving a target by March.
No, by March, I'm sure that I will double it, and I'm sure.
Double means you'll cross 10 million a month.
Around 9-10 million, that's what I'm hoping to happen. But I'm saying is, this is in the first 1 year, it is going to build up its momentum. I don't know whether you saw the news announcement by like people like Sidbi, who's trying to make all the small weavers to come. MSME ministry announced that they're going to have a humongous 100 crore plus fund to help the small and medium enterprise to be visible in the network and leverage from there. You saw HUL announcing that in the next 1 or 2 years, they expect their 1.3 million Kirana stores to come on board. So when all of them, it is like when each of them come, you will see a cumulative compounder growth. Same thing happened to UPI, if you remember. First 1 year, nothing happened. Same thing happened in Aadhaar. Every population scale, dramatic changes will build up, and once it build up, it will have nothing to stop. Like I said, from 1,000 to 4.5 million was 11 months. I'm sure in another 6 months it will double. And that's the kind of hope we are working on.
So the network effects will sort of help. Dilip, and then I'll come to Thomson. In terms of the response from sellers, right? I mean, on the one hand, it's great that anyone in any corner of India can now have a digital storefront. They are not restricted by Amazon, Flipkart. They can basically be anywhere thanks to the protocol. But in terms of product discovery, I mean, suppose I'm some seller from Rajasthan selling atta, and someone searches atta on ONDC. How is my store going to come up, vis-a-vis others? How will the recommendation algorithms work here vis-a-vis other platforms?
I think, Chandra, I will look this in from a slightly different point of view, because we all are used to the current navigation in the existing marketplaces like Amazon or Flipkart for that matter, right? So ONDC, as I know, currently has probably around 10 to 15 different buyer apps, where each of the buyer app is innovating, or if you're looking at it, they are developing their own way in which the customers can interact with it, right? And I think today morning I was talking to Mr. Koshy, and he was saying about somebody who is developing a buyer application just with voice commands, right? So the advantage of something like ONDC is to create that level playing field so that different people can innovate and create that interfaces by themselves, right? So I was talking to you today morning, again, Chandra, about this, one of the seller who is based out of Bangalore. And I was really wondering why this mobile store is getting orders from a very, very remote village in UP, right? And, or somebody like, somebody who is sitting out there in Bangalore or in Trivandrum can now, sitting in home, you can order a verified, certified Kanchipuram sari sitting here, right? So it's opening up a lot of numerous opportunities, and I think we are just in the beginning of the game. I think it has to evolve. As Koshy sir was saying that, I think babies still need to take the baby steps, and it will surely evolve as a mature adult person.
Right. Thomson, in your interaction with the sellers, what's their main challenge with ONDC? One major pain point that they wish wasn't there, that was resolved, that is yet to be resolved.
All right. So again, to highlight, I'm talking of sellers in the business to business side.
Correct.
Very different from business to customer. They also have the same problems, but the key problem that we faced with sellers is that the payment that they need to get from those buying from them has to be on specific terms that make it viable or profitable for them to do trade. So they have a lot of opportunities to get orders, but if the payment doesn't come at a specific time for the product they're selling, that business is a loss. They are now understanding, the sellers we have on the platform, that ONDC is not a magic bullet who can solve all the problems, but can bring to you multiple service providers like banks or NBFCs who can onboard your customers or the buyers who are buying from you. They can assess them and choose to enable them to make the payment on your terms.
Got it.
Right? So all of this is an evolving set of protocols that ONDC team is doing. And the beauty of the team that is there today is we can go and give back market feedback of what is the problem, what is required, what needs to be done. Of course, the downside of that is it's a moving target. Any new company coming will also have to make sure that they're adhering to all of it, new things coming in. But long story short, the problems that you face in a regular physical world today to do trade can all be sorted out on the ONDC network only because of the way it's designed. That it enables anybody to bring in, and like what Dilip said, can define the experience required. So we are trying to define an experience for a set of B2B sellers and buyers so that their business use case is addressed. And the moment it is addressed, the questions like what you asked, who will show first or who will show second, automatically gets solved out for a set of people. Now, for anybody who doesn't like my platform, is free to get off it and go on to a different platform and continue business with the same reputation, with the same products, and with the same set of buyers, right? And it is exactly like how we would choose to suddenly log off Google Pay and go to maybe Phone Pay and do a transaction when Google Pay is not working, or vice versa, right? We do not say that I'll give you $100 day after tomorrow when Google Pay is back. We'll say, okay, let me try it from Phone Pay. Same way, a business owner will be able to take a decision that I can move to anything else. I'm not tied up with one. I take my reputation, my products, my customers, everybody at a place that can give me better visibility, better ordering. My product is shown over there.
Got it. Koshy, you spoke about how it's important to have an open network for digital commerce, because world over we are seeing monopolies and duopolies when it comes to internet-based businesses. But if you look at UPI today, there are only 2-3 players who end up dominating it, right? PhonePe has a 45 to 50% market share. Google Pay has some 35 to 40%, and the rest is split between Paytm and the others. Are you concerned that ONDC also something similar will happen? Because if you look at it today, Paytm, PhonePe, Magic Pin account for 90% of all transactions on the platform. So how are you going to ensure that this is democratic, it's not restricted to some 3 players who are getting all the benefits of it?
Okay, first I'll take 30 seconds to even take away the worry on the UPI, then I'll come to ONDC. So what is the challenge of any monopoly, duopoly or triopoly is that they have a close control and almost a lock-in of the users, that it can lead to rent-seeking behavior and limit the option. But even though there are only 2 or 3 in the UPI, I am a user of all of them. None of them can hold me tight. Because if, let's say, one of them,
so you use whichever payment app gives you more cash back.
Exit option, I use all of them. Because if I don't like the service of one, I can easily move out to the other without any problem. That's the beauty of interoperability. So that takes away the rent-seeking capability. For example, supposing you are a seller in platform X. If you want to move to platform Y, it's such a bloody pain. It's a lot of activities to be done, technical integration, legal integration, process integration, everything. But here there is nothing. Similarly, so that is one. Now coming into, again, UPI is just one SKU, money. It is digital. It is handled by the bank. So it is possible that all bankers are there. These 3-4 of them are there on the buyer side. Incidentally, very often you don't realize in the seller side there is somebody else has a market share. Okay. But when it comes to ONDC, we have products from atta from a kirana store or a thing to drivers in a car hailing company, or Whirlpool giving air conditioners, all of them. So whether in a seller platform or in a buying platform, 1% cannot hold or 3% cannot hold, because the diversity of the SKUs are the organization so diverse. Even in the buying side, we started with Paytm, they had then PhonePe came, they had a market share. Magic Pin, they had one. Last week we had Snapdeal. So by the time, even before you realize in the last 2 weeks, if you look at the non-mobility side, Magic Pin has, Snapdeal has almost got 20-30% market share. So the beauty is, anybody who has a digital consumer can come and offer their customers the product. I don't know, probably you would have seen Ola. Ola, if you go there, they started saying ONDC food. They said, okay, I can offer to my clients without any additional cost new services. So when that kind of entry options are there, nobody can monopolize. So you would see anybody who has digital consumer coming and say, okay, let me give some more offer. And that too, every product or service are going to be there. So everybody will not want to specialize. Somebody will say, I'm going to specialize only in mobility. If you look at mobility, like while you gave the Paytm, Shetm of the world, but they are only in the non-mobility side. Mobility side, Yatri is the biggest one. They started. In fact, they started in Kerala. But probably you would see in the next couple of months, 2-3 months, you will see other people coming up. The beauty of the open network is the diversity that is there as products and services and users, and the possibility to innovate. Nobody can be buyer of every product.
Right. I'm sure there are many startups in the room that are curious about ONDC. What role can they play? So what would your message be to startups who want to work on ONDC or, adjacencies around ONDC? What opportunities are there? Can they come in on the seller side, the credit side, the B2B side, B2C side? What can they do?
The first thing they should do is
What would your pitch to startups be?
First thing in your mind, stop thinking as platform and look at the possibilities of network, and you will see humongous possibilities coming. So you could be a seller, you could be a buyer of product. When you say seller, you could be a seller to the end consumer or a B2B. You could be just creating a product to create fine catalogs for the farmers of Kerala. You might be creating a specialized seller application for the artisans of Kerala. You might be creating a very smart application to help people buy from Kerala, or any building block. So you could be giving a assaying service for the quality control service or a badging service. The beauty in an open network is possibilities are humongous. Just let your imagination wild, because finally every startup will want to sell something to some buyers. So ONDC is a place where any seller who has a catalog, supposing he is making engine for Maruti, it's a one-to-one deal, no need. But any product or service that has a catalog is best suited to be in open network as an additional channel. And if they don't do it, they are missing out a humongous opportunity. Today it looks so small, but 3 to 4 years time you would see what happened in UPI, it will happen here. So every product or service provider sitting here thinking about a product say that, how do I leverage an open network? That has to form a part of your startup strategy. That's why many of the VCs have started asking their investors, tell me what's your ONDC strategy?
No, exactly what I wanted to ask you. Startups will build on ONDC. Will money follow that? Will investors follow them?
Of course, yes. I'm seeing a lot of investors taking very, very interesting charge. I don't want to give the name of some smart fellows.
But why can't you give the name?
No, I said, for example, people like Andler, Google, many of them, VC, and many of them are already given. I wanted to just give a very interesting example. In a segment, when people start making money on collecting money on a PPT, I'll say that segment is mature. So I saw that recently an investor, he has not announced it, I can tell, on a PPT he raised $3 million. I think that's a very interesting, the symbol that the VCs are taking very serious money. Even Google has offered by cash and kind for participation in that, the hackathon they've come out. A number of, on an average, out of the 20% of the visitors who visit me in a week, many of them do come, are VCs, trying to understand the possibilities, not to invest in me, who are the people coming up.
Right. Let's also get the startup views. Thomson, what has your own experience been? What would your advice be to potential entrepreneurs who want to work on ONDC or potential sellers as well?
So the first point I want all to remember is that tomorrow there is a workshop on ONDC that is being conducted by the Senior Vice President who is coming specifically for this to enable businesses to understand what does it take to be on the network. To give it in a nutshell, go to the site ondc.org. There are simple steps there that you can do to just register, log in and start. But before that, have a clear plan on what you want to do, how many months, how many weeks, how many days you want to spend on this. Very simple steps on how can you adhere to the protocol, how can you get approved by the QA, how can the tech team approve your logs, how can you move forward for testing and seeing is it good to go, how do you test and see, are you able to see the products loaded by other seller apps on your buyer app, or can you as a buyer app give a better experience. Doing all this enables you to 100% with full probability be on the ONDC network. But that does not necessarily give you a visibility of how you want to run your business. You have to be creative. ONDC is for you limited by your imagination. We are creating a procurement tool for businesses. How can they buy items for their inputs for production or for their consumption in business? How can they sell it? How can they scale up in a profitable manner? We are looking at very target areas. In Tirupur, we have onboarded some businesses. Now we identify and move forward with that. It's the same for any other business to go ahead and see, okay, I'm going to solve this one problem. And I will want to ONDCify my platform. And it is as simple as that. The moment you do it, you have got an entire ocean of possible customers, and even reach out to ONDC. The team is there, superb. You do your work, they'll do. You can leverage their marketing engine for you. I mean, it is not. See, we are a small company from a corner here in Kerala. ONDC sitting in Delhi. We were able to, from here, onboard businesses in Tirupur, businesses in Jaipur, and actually do trade and transactions.
So you should do the workshop for them, yeah?
Yeah, we are part of it. Yeah,
okay,
very happy to.
That's great. Sorry, please continue, Thomson.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
There are more protocols being released, more areas being opened up on ONDC. It is not just the commerce part, e-commerce part. When we say e-commerce, I always try to classify it as digital commerce, and then eventually we'll call it commerce only. We don't say that, we are talking on an analog telephone or a digital telephone. We just talk on the phone. Same way, people are going to start trading and doing this as the norm tomorrow. If you want to understand what ONDC does, it gives you a mobile number to do business on. You can, like how you could send money from one mobile to another mobile on UPI, on ONDC from one mobile number to another mobile number, you can do business, you can do exports, you can ask for loans, you can hire people, you can have people trained, and you can, if somebody wants to create a LinkedIn of blue collar, that is possible on ONDC.
Got it. Dilip?
So Chandra, I think one way to look at is the current commerce, what you see, and where do we aspire to reach, right? ONDC is not trying to do an incremental value addition to the current commerce which is there. It's really trying to do a step function growth in terms of doing the commerce, right? So, at this point of time, the major roles are the buyer app, the seller application, and the logistics, right? And we do see other functions adding up. For example, if you are a person who is good in cataloging, right? And we have Rahul out here. So we have an initiative which is going on in Kerala where we would like to take the help of the local administrative smaller offices out there and give job to the unemployed people out there, like it's called Akshay Kendra, and take the help of those smaller self-help groups in terms of creating the cataloging, for example, right? So I think, the opportunity is enormous. Any kind of digital transaction which is happening, and in the next 3 to 5 years of time, I'm sure that ONDC will have a play on that, right? And we have Santosh, who is from the recruiting industry, and I overheard a conversation where I think Mr. Koshy was saying that we are also onboarding someone who is running a recruitment agency to ONDC. right?
So you can find jobs there.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So essentially, again, the employer can come and advertise, or they can put their requirement in terms of what kind of resources they are looking to do. And at the same point of time, you can imagine this as another digital transaction, right? There is a seller application, there is a buyer application. Buyer application is the employer, and employee is essentially the seller application, right? So any kind of digital transactions, I'm sure that in the next 36 months, ONDC will have a direct impact on that.
Right. Koshy, do you think you're doing too many things too soon? For example, you started with what? Groceries? Groceries, food, then what? Taxi, auto, home decor, fashion. Now he's talking about jobs, then financial services, credit. Too much, too soon?
Again, that is because, Chandra, you're thinking platform. If I was setting up a platform, I'll say, let me focus on mobility, or let's say market on food, because I'm doing everything. The beauty is we are just a orchestrator. For example, when it is a Paytm and the PhonePe and the Rapido and the Sellerapp and HUL, all of them coming together and agreeing to talk to each other in a language that we provided. So, it is a power, it is not that. See, for example, Just Pay, they said, I'm going to do on mobility. There's nothing, he's only in that part of it. So each of the enterprises will bring their specialization to use this common language. What is ONDC giving? A grammar and vocabulary for everybody to talk to each other, and the rules of engagement in that community. The rest is left to the community to build up. When Ola came and said, I'm going to make ONDC food, I don't have to do anything, because the number of seller application had brought all the, some 70,000 odd restaurants already on the network.
So they used your rails and they onboarded their sellers.
It is the effort is going to the focus. For example, he said he's going to do only B2B. And Sellerapp said, I'm going to do primarily B2C. And he said, I'm going to focus on maybe Kerala and South India. So each of them will find their focus. They will all talk to each other in the language that I provide.
So should we think of it like a railway track?
It is exactly.
Some people will do trains, some people will sell food,
yes,
some people
absolutely.
will do something else.
As far as I am concerned, I am only laying the tracks. Like I said, when developed countries wanted to go to digital continent, they set up East India Company, which is to maximize the interest of the shareholders. We said we are going to put up roads and railway tracks where independent entrepreneurs, big and small, will build business and make the country prosper, not just few shareholders. That is the biggest change of an open network.
Right. We have the final 2 minutes. So, Koshy, one thing that we noticed with UPI is now countries around the world want to implement that in their countries. World Bank has spoken about it, IMF has spoken about it. I think the US Federal Reserve has also spoken about how, other countries can learn from UPI. Are you getting similar interest when it comes to ONDC as well?
Since it's a globally first, there's a lot of interest. People are very actively looking at it and say whether we will make it. Our focus is first to make it for India, and already there are people looking at it. Interesting thing is, first we are going to help international trade to happen in our network. We already took the baby step by having some buyer application based out of Singapore becoming a part of the network participant. Many of the others are wanting to be a buyer application to help the buyers from their country to buy from people like, Kudumbashri in India and, special products. I am definite that in the next few years' time, we will become an example of how to transform the challenge that is faced by commerce anywhere in the world. If you look at Chandra, the challenge when we started UPI, everybody said, oh, we all have digital transaction and payment. India was very backward. But today the problem in commerce is everywhere. Whether you are in US or in Europe or in India, the problem is same. Market concentration and associated practices against the interest of the larger industry. So I'm sure that they will adopt. And that's why we made it, everything is open source. We only need to, This protocol, it's not even a software. It's under Creative Commons license. They non-derivative. It means this. If they want to just use it, just give us credit and just use it.
Brilliant. On that note, thank you all very much, and I hope this session helped you understand ONDC, or the Open Network for Digital Commerce. And like you all said, we will see more and more transactions on that, more and more entrepreneurs building on the ONDC network in the years to come. Thank you very much. And he's asked me to remind you all that there is a workshop tomorrow on ONDC, how it will work, how startups can work on it. So check it out. Where is this happening? Okay, one of the halls. Okay, great. Great, in the afternoon. Okay, super. Thank you.